Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. So, have you ever showed genuine emotion in a narcissistic relationship and then you were told that you were being manipulative? Let's talk about that. So emotions go to narcissistic relationships to die, right? So emotion and narcissistic relationships do not mix. And your emotions, if they don't fully die, they're definitely going to be terribly abused. So think about this. You drop it in the comments if you want. What happened when you have expressed emotion in your narcissistic relationship? I'm going to offer you some guesses of what happened. You expressed genuine emotion in that relationship. You were either mocked, treated with contempt, screamed at, told you were exaggerating, told you were too sensitive, told that you have no right to have that feeling. And I'm sure there's others you can add to that I didn't get to. But one that I've been hearing more often and have been hearing for a long time from people is that by showing genuine emotion, that you are being manipulative. That you showing whatever emotion that it may be, tears, anger, whatever, nervousness, that it's manipulative. The narcissistic person may assert that you're trying to punish them or upset them or throw them off their game on an important day, or make them feel bad. So you showing whatever you are feeling, a real feeling, they write that off as manipulative because they don't like how it makes them feel. Now, the downstream effect of this is that most people in narcissistic relationships slowly start expressing less and less emotion, holding back more. They withdraw, they feel numb, they express less. It makes sense. There is really no point in showing the emotion. In fact, it's almost a little risky, right? That if you show your true emotion in one of these relationships, that you're either going to be gaslighted, shut down, deal with more abuse, or just really be invalidated. It doesn't feel good when you're vulnerable. So when you do start over time showing less and less emotion, and in essence really disengaging, then they may turn around and say you're being manipulative for not being present. So it's a catch-22. If you express emotion, you will be shut down or told you're being manipulative. If you don't show emotion and disengage, then you're being told that you're manipulative. So what are you supposed to do with all that emotion? Well, always remember rule number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in these narcissistic relationships, which is you can't win. It's their rules, and radical acceptance means recognizing that. It doesn't mean that you like it. Remember, radical acceptance is like, I'm good with this. It's just understanding that this is the nature of these relationships. You can also see how having a narcissistic parent can really do a number on you. That you, from a very young age, would have either had your emotion regarded with disgust or outright ignored, or be told or given the sense that any show of emotion from you was manipulative. People who grow up with narcissistic parents have their emotions pathologized from an early age and learn to tamp down those emotions so they can be a good kid in their parents' eyes. Kids just trying to survive. It's a dangerous message for children to get because over time they'll doubt their own emotions, clip their emotions, but those emotions have to go somewhere. And some kids may be vulnerable to struggle in lots of ways, which might include anxiety, dysregulation, impulsivity, self-harm, maladaptive behavior such as substance use, disordered eating, or just going into a state of numbness. It can be difficult to learn and give yourself permission to actually express emotion if you were told not to express it as a kid or were made to feel that you were being manipulative by having a feeling. Now, this accusation by narcissistic people that your show of emotion, or frankly, your lack thereof, is a manipulation, is, as you have already likely guessed, a projection. Remember, narcissistic folks are out of control with their emotions, and some people who write about the theories of narcissism argue that narcissistic people are almost allergic to other people's emotions. So they just project their manipulativeness onto other people, and instead of having to deal with the shame of being an icky manipulative person, they just call other people manipulative. Now, the only way to survive in a narcissistic relationship is to disengage, but you have to pick your poison in terms of what you want to be called. manipulative for because you're going to be called manipulative, right? You're either going to be called manipulative for showing emotion, or you're going to be called manipulative for not showing emotion. The radical acceptance is simply that you recognize that, however it is, emotion's going to have no place in this relationship. Each narcissistic relationship is different in its way. For some of you, the safer path is to not show the emotion. And even if they call that behavior out as manipulative, it may leave you feeling less vulnerable with your true emotion. For others of you, it may actually be easier to just get into it with them and not have to endure their haranguing you and baiting you when you don't show emotion. Remember, narcissistic people do not ever like the sense that they did a bad thing. So your emotion, especially negative emotions like tears or sadness, can raise that flag, that sense that they did or said something bad, raise shame and then rage for them. Narcissistic people are not psychopathic. They're not completely devoid of feeling. They're just really riddled with shame. So your negative emotion, or the sense that maybe they hurt you, or other people are going to think that they hurt you, or that they did something that was wrong or bad, and that, again, other people will notice that was wrong or bad. It's not that they even care about hurting you. It's that it's that the narcissistic person doesn't want to be viewed as a person who hurts people or does bad things. The self-image of the narcissistic person that they have to sustain is that they are great. And when that sense of perfection that they attempt to set up gets dinged by someone else's negative emotions, they don't apologize. They just call the other person manipulative. Healthy expression of emotion is good. This is going to be gross, what I'm about to say, but it's psychological excretion. It's like the psychological equivalent of taking a pee. Expressing emotion is good for us in so many ways. Gotta kind of let it go, right? And when we learn to do it appropriately, for example, express emotion without hurting someone else, that's good. In narcissistic relationships, emotion is expressed by the narcissist, but it is often quite unhealthy. Agitation and anger and the silent treatment. I have no doubt that more than a few of you have encountered this situation. There is no safe place to take genuine emotion in a narcissistic relationship. And then on top of that, to have your natural process of emotional expression be labeled as manipulative can continue to fuel self-doubt and confusion and self-blame. So when it happens, it's that unfortunate acceptance of the unfortunate nature of these relationships. Your showing emotion is healthy. The narcissistic people have an aversion to it. And the reminder it is to them of who they really are. They don't tolerate anything that ever makes them look like the bad guy or the bad gal or the bad person. But it is so important that you find those safe spaces to take that genuine emotion. Because ultimately, there is no safe space to take those emotions in a narcissistic relationship. And the vulnerability that being in an emotional space is, and then on top of that, being told you're manipulative, is a 1-2 punch that can cause endless pain in these relationships. Thanks again.